Hello guys and girls, how's it going? Screezilla here and I hope you're all well. And today you join me in another beta test for boats. And we're playing the Italians this time. Now we have got the MS-74 2A series of patrol boats and the Soldati destroyer. In my mind, one of the worst destroyers in game because it has very few guns. Yeah, it's not great. But we'll take it out first. Now, what I want to talk about today is actually... Ooh, don't want to fire my gun. Is actually what we will be getting soon for the French. Because the French are a very interesting nation. Before I carry on with that, we'll just talk a little bit about the Soldati. As you can see, the Soldati only has 4 guns on board. When you compare that to the American and the British destroyers, it's very underwhelming. The American destroyer has 5 guns. The British destroyer, I think, has 10 guns because it's got 5 dual guns in it, 120mm off the top of my head with the tribal class. But anyway, the Soldati is really missing its guns. It's a very small destroyer. It is a very small boat. It's a destroyer escort, not an actual destroyer-destroyer. What I mean by that is your Project 7Y over there is a destroyer-destroyer. It's designed to go out on its own in circumstances and survive, whereas the Soldati is designed to escort people and not go out alone, because on its own it's very, very weak. Anyway, the main thing we want to talk about today is the French, because the French will be having boats in the game, of course, and I imagine we'll be getting them at some stage soon. The French had 70-odd destroyers in operation at the start of the Second World War, with about 25, 29 more being built. And the thing with the French is they had a special kind of destroyer. They didn't have the destroyers that you think of when you think of a destroyer. Oh, some good hits there, actually. Now we're about to get absolutely trounced by some guns. So we're actually going to put our smoke screen up, and we're going to start turning out of this combat, because we are about to get absolutely hammered by about 50,000 people. See there, we've already taken damage to the side. I think we've taken damage to the smokestacks already. We're really going to have problems in a moment. The French had some interesting destroyers. The French decided to have destroyers that were designed to hunt cruisers. They had the Côte Torpille flotilla, which were basically destroyers designed for cruiser hunting. And these destroyers were very big destroyers. They were more on the size of a light cruiser than a destroyer, in all honesty. And it really made a difference, because the Italians, for one, were very scared of these destroyers, and they actually built their own destroyers to counteract the French destroyers at the time. Especially the Fantastique class of destroyer, which was one of the main fears of the Italians. They sort of... Actually, I'm going to launch some torpedoes. Get some torpedoes out over there. Hopefully one of those will hit. I'm not going to be able to shoot that guy because the beach is just in the way. Hopefully we'll just come out of it. We can actually go for the ammo rack on that Fletcher. A little bit short there. So yeah, the French had these amazing destroyers at the time, and they were just so powerful. They were very large, as I say. A little bit short there. Torpedo. There we go. We managed to take out one of the Fletchers there. Those torpedoes were good, obviously. Now we're going to come around here. And we've got another Soldati there. Good hits on the engine. And that Soldati's been taken out. I'm going to turn into sea now. So yeah, the French had these large destroyers which were designed for as I say, for cruiser hunting. Z20 there has managed to stop. Please, yep, he's reversing. Good. Okay. Good job, son. Thank you very much for reversing. So we've got 2 destroyers coming over this beachhead, but we're going to try and get around them. Ooh, the bower's just taken a massive hit there. We've got flooding, of course, because we have some big old holes in the front of the ship now. And the enemy has got a fantastic positioning here that they can shoot us from, and we are screwed. We are absolutely screwed now. That's the end of this ship, I reckon. We've lost our front gun. Let's start putting the smoke screen up, and we're going to start turning. Slow down. So yeah, the emphasis was on large destroyers, large fast destroyers for the French. And these destroyers were, as I say, designed to hunt cruisers. Their main role was, as I say, just hunting cruisers. And good, that Fletcher's been taken out. And the way they do this is they had great speed. The destroyers, the large destroyers, were capable up to 35 knots. And due to that size, they could outrun and outmaneuver any cruiser at the time. They were faster than the majority of all the cruisers, which made for a very, very useful ship. Having that speed advantage really gave them some help. So what they would do is they would go and hunt the cruisers down and then use torpedoes on them. And they had a lot of torpedo tubes on board as well. Now, the one thing I would say is if we do get the Conti Torpilla class of cruisers in game, we are going to get light cruisers, because, well, effectively that's what they were designed to hunt against, and that's the one ship that is actually going to be able to counteract these cruisers, because these destroyers, because they're just too big and the guns are too strong for other destroyers. Now, the guns on these ships were generally around about 137 to 140 millimeters. The earliest variant was the Chacal class, which was still very large, but it was the start of the generation. Now, the Chacal class had 130mm guns on board, and I'm just trying to think what else we have in the game with that level of gunnery. 137mm, the big old guns, you know, they're big guns for naval combat. Considering most of the destroyers we have at the moment are about 120mm, it will be interesting to see such a large gun come into the game. But they also had very good torpedoes, and anti-aircraft defense as well. They were designed to be able to just take out anything and operate on their own. Now, as you see here, we're doing very little damage with this Soldati. It's one of the worst boats in game, in all honesty. It just really does nothing on its penetration, and the lack of guns is really telling. I'm trying to see what we're fighting against there. I think it's a Yugumo, but I can't be sure. just because I can't see it properly. Can't see that flag properly. But the torpedoes do look like a Yugomo or a bomb. Yeah, it looks like a Yugomo. Say it's a Yugomo. So, yeah, with the French destroyers, as I say, if we get them, we're going to have most likely going to get some heavier, larger ships involved as well, such as the light cruiser line, things like that. Oh, that was way off. What the heck am I doing there? I'm just going to turn and get all guns on there on these guys, because we are starting to struggle now. He's reversing. Jammed it into reverse on that Fletcher. The guns aren't to bear on us. But we'll try and get some hits on him. Some good hits there. We've taken out a compartment. We just need to take one more compartment out and this Fletcher is doomed. And there's another Fletcher coming in. Guard his buddy here. Nice hits there. If we can get the ammunition on one of these ships, we could be looking at a good kill, but making life hard for us. Fire. And we are doomed. There we go. We are dead. So as you see, the Soldati just does not have the firepower to counteract the American boats. Now we've got the random fighter or bomber to spawn into now. So let's see what we get. We have got the SM-79. SM-79 or SM-80? Well, we've got the awful version of the SM. We've got 2 bombs on board. Yay. 2 of the large bombs. I think they're 500 kilogram bombs at least. Unfortunately, though, because they point downwards, we can't skip these bombs, so we have to basically aim them correctly. Now, there's a destroyer flanking us there. Let's see if we can actually drop a bomb on one of these guys. So yeah, the French, as I say, if they come in, we will be getting light cruisers, I reckon. Especially if we get the Z-20's dead, I think, so we won't drop bombs on that thing. No point now. Okay, so that was not that much use. What else have we got to drop on? Well, there's those cruisers over there heading towards... Sorry, destroyers heading towards C over there. There's a gunboat in A. It's going to be too small and a bit hard to hit, in all honesty. This mode is very hard for a bomber. Simply because unless the ship's stationary, you're not going to hit them with much ease unless you're at very low altitude. Now, being in this style of bomber, which is a terrible bomber, we're not going to have much chance to actually drop on an enemy ship. Now, I'm going to try and get around them and drop on one of those destroyers, but it's going to be very hard. So yeah, as I was saying, the Chacal class, which had, also known as the Jaguar class, was one of the large destroyers, and it was one of the ships that the Italians wanted to build their own countermeasure for. So they built the Romani class, Captaini Romani class, which turned into they called it a flotilla leader, and it was basically between a light cruiser and a destroyer. It had the guns of a light cruiser. It had... I'm getting flaked to death now by the enemy airfield. Oh, forgot about that. And with that, it was about the same size as a destroyer, with 135mm guns, so it had the same... Now we're going to get absolutely wrecked by AAA. Ah, that was fun. That was fun. That's fun, isn't it? You know? Yay! Yay! Enjoyable. Enjoyable gameplay. Oh, God. They really make it impossible for bombers in this game, I swear. So anyway, let's take out the horrible, horrible gunboat now, because this thing is absolutely woeful. With this, we have got a flak gun on the back, 37mm flak gun, and we've got a 20mm on the front. There's a lot of enemy ships over there. Got a gunboat to the right of us, destroyers to the left, and here I am, stuck in the middle of them, with a terrible, terrible, terrible little torpedo boat. Being all of those shells are flying over, we're probably going to get schwacked at any moment. Oh no, there is a destroyer there as well, which is good. Let's just fire off a salvo at that. And we won't do any penetration. Oh, there's the gunboat. And we just did not turn in time. Missed that S-boat. Oh, that's fun. A good place to sit because it's right out of our spawn as well. So, you know, good spawn camping there, bro. Good spawn camping. At least he's lost his torpedoes now, so we can hopefully get around and kill the bastard. So yeah, these ships were basically very unarmed. They weren't armoured, they were more designed for hunting cruisers. So if we do get the Chacal, the Gepard, the Gilia, Vanquilia, Fantastique, or the Mogador class destroyers, then we will be getting cruisers for sure. There are, of course, light destroyers in the French Navy as well, such as the Boresque class, the Adrati class, and the Hardy class, as well as the Le Marmine. Now, I'm butchering those names, so I'm sorry about that. But as I said, I think we're probably going to get some slightly more interesting... torpedoes left us. They're not going to touch us, they're just firing into our spawn, of course. So, there's a guy stationary right there. I think he's beached. Let's just... launch a torpedo at him, just see if that does anything. Oh no, I think it's actually a dead boat. Oh, that's fun then. So that threw me off. That's enjoyable. So yeah, interesting enough, if we do get those, then we're going to have some very, very capable destroyers, which will mean we're going to be getting some very... Well, it's very likely that we'll be getting cruisers if we do get them, as I say, because they were designed for cruiser hunting, and the only effective counter for them is actually cruisers, because destroyers are not strong enough, so to say, to take them out, because they have such heavy gun loads on them. You think the Fletcher is rough to fight against. You ain't seen nothing yet, baby. As soon as we get the French, if they do use the Contre-Tuelier destroyers, Contre-Tuelier destroyers, then we are going to get some seriously, seriously big guns in the game. So yeah, that'll be interesting to see what happens there. Now we're capping A here. Just killed myself with a depth charge there, that was good. Torpedo boat to the port over there. Going in to capture that point. Looks like fire off a few rounds to try and get a few hits on him, maybe. Okay, so we're going to have to go to C to fight that guy. Anything else around us? No, we're pretty safe, so let's get a moving.
Threat in the air.
And there's an S-boat coming in. Now this is going to be dangerous because S-boats will absolutely shrek us. Rip us to pieces in a matter of seconds. Bomb! And, oh, nice work. Ju-88. Nice bombs. Dive bomb there by the Ju-88. Managed to get us. That's the end of the gameplay. Well, that's the end of that match. So yeah, as I say, it will be interesting to see what the French do. How is gameplay for boats? Well, as you saw, it's not that engaging in all honesty. Planes, it depends on the nation to who's going to have the best planes. The Germans are going to be the best in all honesty, with the dive bombing capabilities. I imagine the Americans will be quite good if they use their dive bombers. Italians, not a chance. British, probably going to be very weak. The French, again, going to be very weak. The Japanese may do well, but their boats are awful. It's still very hard to determine how well the Italians do against these ships because the Italian boats are so underpowered that you don't really get a good idea. When we look at the other nations' ships, you know, the Z-20 here, you know, it has so many more guns, it really makes a difference. And yeah, it's still very, it's not balanced. Now, one of the biggest problems for this is because, well, ships don't have, there's not actually a BR set for the ships yet, so the Italians may well be using BR1 ships, whereas the Americans may be using BR5 ships, or Tier 5 ships, sorry. So we don't really get a clue as to what's happening, and yeah, it's just not very engaging all in all. It really isn't. It doesn't feel great. It feels good when you kill somebody, of course, but every game feels like that. But yeah, I don't know, it's still not feeling good. It's going to be a while before they release it. And I really wish they would actually let us look at the ships in this view, in hangar view, so we could actually get an idea of what we're doing wrong in our boats. Because at the moment we have no idea. Okay guys, I hope you enjoyed this video, found it somewhat interesting. As I say, I'm going to be interested to see what we get for the French. I honestly believe we're going to get light cruisers in the game, because I think the bigger boats are what people are enjoying the most. From what I've seen in games, people prefer the bigger boats overall. They use the torpedo boats to cap and get the occasional kill. Imagine torpedo boats like having like taking out a Locust, the M22 Locust. So you've got the M22 here, and you sort of go, well, it's got no armour, but it's got this great gun that's got 90mm of penetration. I think that's the best shot in it. Yeah, so you've got 90mm of penetration up close. I'm going to take it out in 6.7 matches, you know, and you're going up against Tigers and Panthers and things like that. But the thing is, though, you can kind of kill a Tiger if you go around the back or the front. Panthers you can kill from the sides, you know, and that's the sort of thing. It's a real big challenge, but it's really rewarding when you get it. That's what I feel torpedo boats are at the moment in the game. They're like a light tank, you know, they're not overly fun to play, you're going to die a lot, but when you get a kill on them, it's pretty hilarious. The destroyers, they feel more like your medium tanks, and imagine if we get cruisers, then they'll be our heavy tanks. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. Anyway, enough blabbering on, have a good day, and I'll catch you next time. This is Screezilla out. Bye bye.